Hi, I'm Sawyer. I'm a graphic designer who is breaking into the UI UX design field in game design, and I'm having Claude teach me how to do it. I had to put together a panel of experts to put together a curriculum and teach me everything I need to know to get a job in 12 to 24 months. That was the prompt, and I'm seeing how it goes. In this example, in this module, I should say, it was teaching me about the types of UI, those being non-diegetic, diegetic, spatial, and meta, and also how to teach game design, uh, teach rules to players without words, things called affordances, signifiers, and feedback. So this is the warm-up example where it wanted me to take a screen from a game I was playing and label all of the UI elements, either non-diegetic, diegetic, spatial, or meta. So this is a screen from the game Ratcoin that I've been playing a lot of recently. It's really fun. And I made myself some bubbles that I could just duplicate and drag over different elements. Um, so non-diegetic elements are ones that are outside of the fiction and the world. They're on the screen for the player only, but the world of the game does not necessarily interact with them or have them in there. Here you can see there's this pull handle for the wheel spin when you get a combo, some power-ups, some items, little menu items like this, your score and exchange buttons. All these things, here's the cursor. All of these things are seeable by the player and for my own benefit, but they're not in the world of the game. Now, diegetic elements exist inside the game world, and fiction is how Claude described it. The player characters can see them, interact with them. They're in the world and part of the world. So in this case, it would be these things that are actually part of the coin pushing cabinet, like this back screen, which does display, information and data for me, but it's also on the screen in the actual cabinet in the game. So the raccoon character playing the game can also see these things. Um, Mainly just this back screen back here. This is really the main one. And then there are spatial elements, things that are inside of the 3D space as opposed to just on the screen, but the characters still can't see them. They're still just for the player's benefit. So in this case, we have like the combo meter here. We've got the combo, counter. We've got the controls showing the left and right click for shooting the coins out of the different sides. And my clip of like powered up coins, special coins. Things like these little coin scores. So every time a coin drops, it pops up this little score, but it's definitely sort of in the 3D space, if that makes sense. So there's the spatial elements. Then there are meta elements, which I didn't have an example of on this screen, but the way Claude described it was part of the fiction, but not in the world geometry. Shown on the screen, but not really in the world. And the examples it gave was like, when you're playing a game with combat and there's like blood or cracks on the edges of the screen when your character's hurt, or rain on the quote unquote lens of the, sort of camera when you're in a rainy environment. Um, some of these elements felt like they bordered on meta for me, like the coin clip. It is on screen for me to see, but it's not, while it's not blood or something on the screen, it is so very much like the item that it represents that it almost feels like it's meta. But Claude corrected me in that it's a 3D element in the world, so it automatically rules out it possibly being meta. It has to be a sort of on-screen effect. Then the main exercise of this module was a write-up of how a game would teach you something without words. And the example I chose was in Super Mario 3D World when the game teaches you that Cat Mario can climb walls. Um, when you get the cat suit, cat bell power up, super bell maybe it's called, you have cat suit Mario and you run around, and one of your abilities is you can climb up vertical walls. And the way that the game teaches you is by introducing these little 45-degree ramps. Now this is where I sort of just wrote out this document initially from my own mind, trying to use the terminology that Claude had taught me. And it did correct me after I submitted it initially and wanted me to refine some things. So for example, the cues. These are the things that, lead the player to learn the thing without words. And what I pointed out was that the cues are the shape of the ramp. It's leading you in a direct, like from 0 degrees on the ground to 45 degrees up the ramp to 90 degrees up the wall. It is naturally a ramp leading you up. The fact that the ramp is made of wood and not dirt and grass like the rest of the environment makes it stand out to the eye, and something that looks like shaped, put together wooden shapes feels like a tool, something that the game is put there for you to use in some way. And also the previous, I guess this gets into the mental model, I'll skip that part for now. But then the cat paw prints. If you have the cat suit, it's an established thing in games where if there's footprints leading somewhere, the player wants to follow it. So if the player has the cat suit at the time, they're automatically going to want to sort of follow the paw prints. And I pointed out all these things, and Claude said that it was good, but it wanted me to actually use the vocabulary. So in this case, the shape of the ramp is an affordance, something that the object's form uses to suggest its use. Whereas the paw prints are actually different. They are a signifier. It's a decoration. It's not exactly part of the object's form, but it is a detail. The examples it gave of signifiers are a glint, a color, an icon, a contextual prompt. Sometimes appearing at the moment of opportunity, sometimes not. In this case, the paw prints are a signifier, as is the material it's made out of, the wood. It's more decorative. So I thought that was interesting to learn those details. I recognize the individual elements, but getting to put the proper vocabulary to them and learning how to differentiate that was really interesting. The mental model that was used here is in 3D Mario games. If the player is familiar with them, you know that they want you to be able to platform and jump around and have a lot of really fun movement. So something like this at the base of a tall wall, Mario pros or any experienced Mario players are understanding that, okay, they're putting this here so I can get up the wall faster and more fun. So that's automatically going to lead you to it, along with the other cues that I've mentioned. The feedback loop here is how the game is giving you feedback to show you if you're doing something right or wrong, or explaining something to you. And in this case, when you walk up the wall, the catsuit power-up enables Mario to immediately begin climbing the wall. And I didn't note this at the time, but I played a little bit more of 3D Mario World since I wrote this, and I learned that Cat Mario will not always directly climb up a wall. It'll only be if you go up these ramps. If you walk directly up to a wall without a ramp, you have to jump, and then he will begin climbing the wall. But these ramps make it happen automatically. You don't have to jump. You can just walk into the wall, and he'll begin climbing. And Claude was explaining to me that that is an example of scaffolding, where in classic Nintendo fashion, in this case, they are making sure to teach you these things in a low stakes, really hard to fail environment where you don't have to even worry about pressing the jump button. Even something as simple as that, they're kind of doing it for you to show you to teach you before you have any pressure to perform, to actually execute the action. Something else about the feedback loop I mentioned was the sort of pass versus fail aspect of it being enhanced by the cat paw prints. So if the player gets to this point and they don't have the cat suit and they try to walk up the ramp anyway because of all the cues and things leading them into it, obviously they're not going to start walking up the wall. But the paw prints are there to show them very quickly that they're not simply doing something wrong or not understanding what's supposed to be going on. They don't have the proper tool. So I think it alleviates player frustration to show them very quickly and clearly that you're not doing it wrong. You don't need to just try harder or try again. You need to go get a new tool for this. That way they can understand what the issue is, and they can just move on and continue enjoying the game. And that was Module 3 of my curriculum journey through learning UI UX design for gaming using Claude. Please follow along if you're interested in learning these same things, or if you're on your own learning journey And comment down below if you have a great example in games that you've been playing recently, where a game teaches you a mechanic in an intuitive way without using words.